Welcome back. This is Deborah Kaufman of Broadcast Beat, and we're broadcasting, or should I say streaming, from the floor of the 2017 annual conference of SMPTE, the Society of Motion Picture and Television Engineers. We're about to talk about a very interesting topic, which is IP media solutions.
Yep.
And I have with me Michael Cronk, who wears two hats. He's Vice President of Core Technology at Grass Valley, and he is also Chairman of the Board of AIMS, which stands for the Alliance for IP Media Solutions. So why don't we start off telling me a little bit about AIMS?
Yeah, as you just said, AIMS stands for the Alliance for IP Media Solutions, and the organization is a little less than 2 years old. So why did we form an organization when we have so many acronyms already in our industry? What was that about? Well, as you know, for years the industry was talking about a move to IP, and there's a lot of R&D within the industry at my own company, Grass Valley, and many companies across the industry. But we weren't nearly at a place of adoption. And one of the things that happened about 2 years ago, actually, was there were many competing movements or standards, if you will. The work on what we now call SMPTE ST2110 was about to form. The VSF, or the Video Services Forum, had come through with a technical recommendation, TR03, Technical Recommendation 03, that formed the basis of what SMPTE was going to work on. But there were also some proprietary approaches. And as vendors and broadcasters together looked at that situation, we all came to this conclusion that if there's going to be competing standards and we're going to kind of segment the market out into these things, it's going to really slow down adoption. Because if I'm purchasing a new plant, new facility, I want to put that money into something that's going to last for a long time, it's going to be standards based. I don't want to pick the wrong horse. And we were in this situation where nobody could really say what was going to win. And the good thing was, thanks to both the Video Service Forum and VSF, and then also SMPTE, we were moving towards a standards-based approach, and that really rings true, right? And so, but being broadcasters, we've all kind of experienced format wars, right? With videotapes and this tape can't work with that tape. It just happened time and time again.
And it seemed like every year there was a new tape format, too.
That's right.
Yeah.
And in the age of IP, I mean, one of the reasons we're going to IP is to build more scalable, more agile, more flexible plants that can really meet the needs of this digital age and do things, compete with, Google and, Facebook, Facebook Live, and these different places like that, Amazon. And so we knew we needed to go this, but if we just kind of bifurcated and segmented ourselves, we're just not going to have the speed of progress that we need. And so a number of companies got together, and we formed AIMS in record time, from kind of, hey, let's form a trade alliance to get it done, 6 weeks. We announced it in New York in December of 2015. And today we have 75 members.
Wow, 75 member companies?
75 member companies. Probably about 7 or 8 broadcasters. So broadcasters like CBS, Fox, and NBC. A number of European broadcasters as well, TV Globo in Brazil. And so we've really tried to make an international following as well. But then 60, 65 vendors. And to join AIMS, really, it was very, very simple. It was you had to basically say a standards-based approach is the preferred way for the future. And that's really what we did. Our mission, very simply, is to foster the adoption of a common set of protocols for interoperability over IP for the media and entertainment industry. And that vision really guides us in what we do. And the two things that AIMS really does, one is more on the marketing and the promotion side. Any standard that becomes adopted, it really has to do with how many people went that way, and there's marketing about that, making it known what the standard is, who's adopted it, and providing that awareness. So we do that on one side with a marketing arm, and then the technical arm, we come alongside SMPTE and the AMWA, Advanced Media Workflow Association, who's working on various specifications that go on top of SMPTE 2110. We come along and make recommendations. If you think about it, we've got 65 companies that are all in the middle of implementing this stuff. And when you implement something, you understand it in much more detail than at just reading a document. So we're able to feed back information and provide insight that I think is helpful in the process. And then lastly, that one of the big things I think that we've been able to help with is fostering a spirit of collaboration, not among just those companies, but other organizations, including SMPTE and others.
Talk
right?
a little bit about this. I understand that AIMS works very closely with 8 organizations, I believe.
That's right.
So what are those organizations and how do you work with them?
I'll say I think the number's going to grow over time. I can't say officially right now, but I think it's we've got some good momentum there. But the 8 organizations that we work very closely with on the IP Showcase, which is here at the SMPTE conference, and this is a lot of alphabet soup to remember. So AES, so the Audio Engineering Society, of course AIMS, AMWA, Advanced Media Workflow Association, EBU, European Broadcasting Union, IABM, the MNA, which is the Media Networking Association that is a trade association for the standard AS67, the audio standard, as well as then SMPTE and VSF Video Services Forum.
Wow, that's amazing. You've given this talk before. You remembered them in perfect order. That's very impressive.
I got lucky this time.
Oh, very good. So talk a little bit about this. You're here at SMPTE with an IP showcase. What does that mean? What is an IP showcase?
Well, I think one of the things that we wanted to do is we wanted to appeal to the industry and show the industry the progress towards a common, interoperable, standards-based approach. And so beginning in IBC 2016, we formed with those organizations that I just mentioned, and when it's an IBC, we're also collaborating with the IBC, to put together an interop that shows, with the current state of the technology, what we're doing. We repeated that at NAB, we did that at IBC, and this SMPTE conference is very special in that just right towards the tail end of IBC, SMPTE announced that 3 of the standards in the SMPTE 2110 suite, which is the IP-based standard that we're all working towards, 3 of those are now approved. And so this is really kind of almost a celebration. So we were asked if we could bring back the IP showcase that we had from IBC here, and we did so, and we're very excited about it.
So does this go along? I know you said that actually putting these products together is so much more useful than just reading a document. Is that really what we're going to be seeing here?
Yeah, I think. Exactly. You can say, well, this company has this product, but you can go over just really in the Centennial Hall on the other corner, and you can see 30 companies, and multiple products from different companies, all working together over this standard, which, the ink is just dried, and yet we've got 30 companies with products built on it.
That's pretty exciting. And you've brought it to, you've brought the IP showcase to other shows, correct?
Yes.
Tell us about that. Where else have you brought it to?
Well, so far for an IP showcase, which takes a lot of effort, there's a lot of coordination that's behind the scenes to get all the equipment together and whatnot, and a lot of cost, is we've done 2 IBCs and NAB last year, and now this SMPTE show. There's a number of at other regional trade shows like Interbe in Japan or Broadcast Asia. We typically have a booth and have maybe a smaller interop, but kind of the massive scale of interop takes a little bit more. We actually, to do this, we go through a qualification process with every vendor's equipment. Fox Networks has been very generous, and they've essentially donated space so that all the vendors can come in one place with enough racks and power to put this thing together, and really from an engineering and technical perspective, verify it, and then we kind of shrink wrap that, if you will, and bring it to the trade shows. And so the logistics on that are quite a bit. So it's not something we can go to every regional conference and do, but that's what we do.
So you did mention that you're celebrating that SMPTE is now standardized, created 3 new standards.
Yes.
Can you go over what those are?
Absolutely. So one of the key things about SMPTE 2110 is that it's a suite of standards, and it also addresses elementary essences. And what do I mean by that? Video, audio, and data are separate streams, each with a separate IP address. So I can say I want this IP address, I get my video, I can get my audio separate. And so, especially for production, where things like audio breakaway, and or even play out where I want Spanish instead of English, you've got that flexibility at the network level without having to do a lot of processing just to pull out the audio as you do in SDI. So it's elementary based. And then SMPTE 2110 is what we call the system spec. It defines the parameters of how the streams are going to really be tied together and declared so that everybody knows what they're looking at. And then SMPTE 2110-20 is the uncompressed video spec. And it really works with a number of different video formats, UHD, HD, SD, those types of things. So that's video. And then 2110-30 is PCM audio.
Right.
So with those, the system, video, and audio, you've got a really good set. And there's a -40 that isn't all the way to approval status, but is getting close, which handles ancillary data. So literally anything that you could do in SDI, because SDI has video, audio, and data in the same thing, we've kind of broken that out. You separately address it, but you can time them together thanks to another SMPTE standard called SMPTE ST 2059, which tells us how to use something called precision time protocol to time align all the various streams so we can put them back together again.
So question, are there other standards in the queue, or is this are we wrapping a bow on this?
Well, that's a great question. I think that within the 2110 suite, there's a few more. There's going to be a way to essentially tunnel AS3 audio, so compressed type of audio streams. There's a -21 it's very important that talks about how the packet spacing should be when a sender sends them out, because that helps with interoperability. So there's a few things in the suite that are still being finalized, but a lot of the work, and this is kind of one of the exciting things about IP, is you can do so much more with IP than you can with a kind of a BNC cable based SDI type system. Things like the notion of plug and play, right? I plug this in, and all of a sudden I know its address, I know what it does, and I can talk to it. You can't do that with SDI. In SDI, that's somebody sitting with a spreadsheet typing a bunch of things and writing some code. There's a whole series of specifications that the AMWA is working on, and I think they're in very close conversation with SMPTE as well, for things like registration and discovery, connection management, common way to control IP switches, because every vendor has some different ways to do that. And then beyond that, once we've done that, basically talks about how we'll be able to also look at software and what we do there. Because IP really, Thomas Edwards of Fox Networks has kind of quoted a lot on this, but he says that IP is the on-ramp to the new digital future. And so once you do that and want to do things like virtualization and cloud, then there are some interoperability standards that would be helpful there as well. So I think AIMS and a lot of the organizations are going to be working towards that. It's actually, just not to give another acronym, but I must.
You must.
There's something called the Joint Task Force for Network Media. And it's an ad hoc organization, collaboration between AMWA, EBU, SMPTE, and VSF. And they've come out with a 5-year roadmap called the JTNN roadmap that specifies, but forecast where we're going to head in terms of a roadmap. And a lot of things I just mentioned are on that. So getting 2110, the transport layer, done is really important, but there's a lot more to do. But even today, with what we have, at IBC we were showing 25 reference sites. So BBC Wales, an NBC-owned television station, OB vans that are working using IP today.
So we're seeing already some implementation.
That's right, in IP, and I think a lot of those are based on the previous standard, SMPTE 2022-6, which essentially encapsulates SDI, doesn't have separate essences. But the first 2110 installations will be rolling out Q1 of next year. So it's very real and it's happening.
So what is the future of the IP Showcase? Where do you see this going? Like, will be at NAB, correct?
It will be at NAB. I think because our aim is to foster the adoption, and we're going to be at a different point in the cycle, we're going to do different things, right? I think we've proven show after show after show the interoperability, that's solid. We don't have to kind of, do that message. But there are a lot of questions out there. Will there be a certification program so that I know that the equipment I buy meets the standard? How do I educate my people? And then, what are the benefits of IP? And then what broadcasters have implemented, and what can I learn from their installations? So I think we'll focus on those kind of things more than pure unadulterated interoperability, but we will have a presence.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for your time here. I look forward to reading about and writing about some of these implementations, which I think is make then it'll really be a technology that's accurate and working on making people's lives
That's where we're
better.
headed. Yeah, that's right.
Excellent. Very exciting. Well, thank you so much, Michael, for being here.
Thank you for the opportunity.
And enjoy the rest of the show.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.